What's up, guys? Rob from LegitBrowniesGaming here, bringing you another episode of Player Profiles, and I'm super excited about this episode. This is somebody that I've actually been wanting to talk to pretty much since I kind of conjured up this idea. I'm here with Blackimar. So how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing pretty well. Hope you're doing good too. I'm flattered, by the way. Talk to me. That's crazy, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
when I had this idea, you were one of the first people. I was like, all right, I got to get him on at some point,
Right.
certainly. So just some quick housekeeping things before we start. Like I mentioned in the last Player Profiles episode, I'm hopefully going to be able to get this one out before the 21st. I should be able to before the end of the week. So if you guys still have any clips you want to send me for the clip comp, again, I will put my Discord down in the description. Just DM them over to me. After that 21st, I'm going to be working on editing, so try to get them into me before that. And other than that, don't really have anything else. So Blackimar, why don't you introduce yourself to the people, and then after you're done introducing yourself, why don't you get into a little bit of your competitive gaming background, and also, since you do a lot of casting, how your casting background came to be.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, I am Blackimar64. I am a high, debatably top level NASB player. I don't know. Some people might agree
After
with
Back in Blood, I would say so.
that. Right. I am the goat with Helga. That is my character. Also one of the main casters for NASB as well, and just a general just fighting game fan, man. I just love the genre, and I'm just a guy who presses buttons. That's pretty much it.
So I was taking a look at some of your stuff on Smash GG, and you do have a lot of games on your
Yeah.
profile. So kind of give me a little bit of your background, like how did you get into competitive gaming as opposed to just kind of playing casually? And I saw you had some interesting games that I've never heard of: Samurai Showdown, Them's Fighting Herds. I know what
Sorry.
BlazBlue and stuff is. So yeah, you have a pretty deep background. Why don't you talk us through that?
Yeah, I've actually been into fighting games pretty much my whole life. Of course, it started off like casually when I was younger, so like later elementary school. I think it was like when I was it was like 2006 or so when I first got Melee, and that was like one of the main ones I first got into. I used to play it a lot with my brother back then. I use like Donkey Kong, I think. That
Okay.
character freaking sucks, by the way, in that game. But yeah, he was using Marth too, so I was kind of getting bodied most of the time. So it was rough. It was rough. Nah, but after that though, I got Brawl, and also got into sometimes playing, Street Fighter Alpha with my older brother and sister. I remember they had like a copy of that, and yeah, that's kind of just was my main introduction to sort of like 2D fighting games in terms of like casually stuff. When I started getting into competitively though was I was in middle school, actually. I think that was like 2010, and I was like 7th grade or something like that. We had like this after school club where people would just kind of like bring video games and like just chill and shit. And like I remember we used to play a lot of Smash back then. But I remember this one time the guy who ran this stuff, he was like in college at the time. He brought like Marvel's Capcom 3 one day.
Okay.
And like that's kind of how I first originally got into that game. People were like kind of always like, crowding around that game. That was like the game to play at that time, pretty much. And like I was very much a big fan of it. But I was like one of the better ones of the kids playing. But I realized I could never beat the guy that he bought the game there. So at one point I remember I straight up begged my mom to buy me that shit. I said, okay, if I get good grades on that next report card, and get me a game real quick, and said, yeah, sure. And so that ended up with me getting Marvel's Capcom 3. I spent a lot of time to that back then. And that's kind of the time I discovered, tournaments. I was like sort of watching like any kind of like tournament footage I could find. It also ended with me, discovering Evo, watching those. Also eventually beat that guy who bought the game too. It was very satisfying. For like a minute though, because no one wanted to play with me after that, because I got too nice at it.
Yeah.
It sucks. That's a classic struggle, bro. But I mean, yeah, after that, it's just I get more and more deeper into the community, into these games. Got things like Street Fighter 4, Guilty Gear, and Samurai Showdown, other fighting games, stuff like that. And eventually here I am today, still playing a lot casually. But in terms of my main focus, of course, is Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. I love that game.
So, what game kind of got you started on the casting side of things, and kind of what drew you into the casting
Mhm.
side of things? Because that's something that I've been personally interested in. I think I've done it like twice, and it was a lot of fun. So, what kind of
Yeah.
got you into that?
Well, yeah, my story with casting is kind of interesting because I am technically pretty new to it. Technically.
Really?
Yeah. So when Smash Ultimate came out, I wanted to cast for that and just I got into a rhythm of practicing it a little bit before I kind of realized that I don't enjoy casting this game that much. Um, I tried to do the same when Samurai Showdown came out back in 2019. Doing the same thing, kind of practicing it, but I kind of fell out of love with the game just because the online was legitimately like the worst online experience I had with a fighting game,
Yeah.
probably in a long time, unfortunately. So that kind of killed a lot of my passion for it. By the time I still, I remember I watched a lot of Sajam's videos on talking about commentary. And if you don't know Sajam, he's like one of the main FGC commentators. He's definitely one of the best ones in that category too. So I definitely learned a lot from his videos, and kind of just that's kind of what I bought here into NASB towards commentating. This is like technically this is actually the first game I commentate for real, but I have sort of dabbled a little bit in trying to learn how to commentate Samurai Showdown and Smash Ultimate as well. So it's yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I'm kind of surprised to say that, just because from all the stuff that I've watched from you, it kind of just seems like it came naturally to you. Like, you're very good at what you do on the mic. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
surprised that
Yeah.
you say you're new to it. Was it something that kind of came naturally to you? I know you said you watched a lot of videos and did some studying, but was it something that you
Mhm.
felt you kind of picked up a little bit naturally, or was it like, okay, let me really grind this out, kind of the same way I would grind out like playing the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think a bit of both. I would say I feel like I picked it up faster than I expected to because I don't know. When I first started doing it, I was a little unsure of it, but people kind of reassured me like, "Oh, dude, you're kind of nice at comps." I'm like, "Really?" That's crazy. That's kind of why I try to, sort of grinding it out some more a bit, and it's kind of where I'm at right now. Or I feel like one of the main people in the community who takes commentary seriously. This kind of decision at the time I made during what was it, the RTC patch,
Oh yeah.
because I noticed there's a lot of appreciation for the game was dying down. And like, I really did want to improve as like a player and become like one of the top ones of this game, because I feel like I can do it. It's just at the same time though I feel like the priority at the time was, I want there to be someone on the game who on the mic who obviously loves the game like at all times or as often as possible. And like that time to me like me at that time, so it's like may as well get deeper into it.
Yeah,
Kind of
no,
stuck.
it's really cool because in a lot of ways you kind of are almost like the voice, right? Like, if we have some kind of pillars in the community, right? Like, if we think of players, we think of people like Lily Bun and Bo are probably the top two.
Yeah.
In terms of like, just, I guess the best way to describe would be our version of like Mewtwo King. Like, an evil genius is probably UPG. uh,
Right.
Sanji might be like the blood, right, that pumps through the veins with all his mods and netcodes. But I think you would kind of be like the voice, right? A lot of people, when they think of
Mhm.
NASB commentators, would probably think of you first.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
cool
kind
to
of
have somebody like you who has that infectious love for the game.
yeah, that was I'm glad to hear that actually. That was just my goal in terms of this. So I'm glad it's working out, man. Like that's cool.
So we'll get back into a little bit of the history of NASB. So what drew you to the game originally? Was it the characters, the IP, the speed? What kind of drew you into the game originally?
Yeah. Well, originally I did know Ludosity through Slap City, which is a game I dabbled in previously. It's one of those I didn't really get too deep into, but it's something I still sometimes play with my friends a lot. It's a genuinely really fun game. So I saw the trailer for it randomly. It had some characters I really liked too from Nickelodeon. And then I saw the developers. I'm like, Ludosity making this? Hold on. So like, it was like automatically on my radar because of that. I remember I made a video like talking about the trailer and like looking at the details that are leaked through the Discord about the game. I was like, oh shit, it sounds really promising. But like the main thing for me that like I was like I knew I love the game was when the video started coming out, right? the first gameplay showcase with SpongeBob and Patrick on like rooftop, I think it was, where they like showcase a bunch of the mechanics and unique things about the game. It's like, oh crap, it's like this is pretty legit, and like this like has so many unique things to platform fighters. Just like, and I kind of struggle to sort of get into platform fighters compared to traditional fighters, just because it just feels kind of weird to me a lot of times. But I don't know, it just automatically just called out to me. I'm like, yo, this gotta be the one real quick, and I think that kind of just like, what's the word? That kind of came true. I saw more of the character breakdowns and stuff like that.
So it's interesting because as somebody like you who's kind of been there from the beginning, uh, you know, I bought the game day one too, so I've
Hmm.
seen and been through like the game is almost unrecognizable now to the day one game.
Right.
Uh, I guess from both sides, since you are both a competitor and a commentator, do you find that it's difficult sometimes to adjust to a game that has had such monumental changes in less than 6 months? Both from trying to learn the new mechanics and playing and stuff, but also when you're casting, trying to keep up and think, oh, this thing it was last patch, that's not a thing anymore. Now this is this and that and the
Right.
other.
Yeah. No, I definitely I think it is can be kind of a struggle for sure. I think for me it's kind of easier because I'm always playing this game, so I kind of tend to naturally sort of keep up with it. For other people, I know was it Nasta, for example. He's a great commentator fundamentally, but I know it's like the thing he's trying to come back to the NASB commentary recently, but I can tell it's a little harder for him just because he hasn't really kept up with the game as much. So he kind of like say, well, accidentally say some outdated information just because in general the game's moving at a very fast pace in terms of how it's changing. So it's difficult, but I can keep up with it because generally I keep up as a player, I guess.
So, what are some of the challenges in commentating a game that is as fast as NASB is? With the recent patch, which we'll get into a little bit later, it
Hmm.
looks like some of the things might have slowed down a little bit. We might not see as many kills at 0% off double dares and stuff like that. But in general, in a game that, I mean, players can absolutely schmoove in this game.
Right.
What are some of the challenges of commentating a game that is just as fast as NASB is?
Yeah. Well, I think my biggest struggle in terms of commentating a very fast game like this is just figuring out how to condense analysis. I feel like that's generally, of course, one of the most important parts of commentary. But you notice like things like Smash or like other esports, for example, they have a lot more, excuse me, a lot more time to explain things. As things are just generally a lot slower. But in terms of NASB, it's just like it's kind of why I'm had in the habit of talking a bit faster when I like have a point that I want to get across. Just because and just using less words to describe it is more concisely. Just because it's it can be hard to get something across because there's often times where like I don't know if you notice or during games like we finish a point and there's some else crazy happens. We're just like what, and like yeah, I definitely think just condensing analysis is definitely the hardest part for it. I still think in general I can improve on that still honestly. Other than that though, I feel it's mostly still pretty standard to me because I mostly come from traditional fighting games where it's like 99-second timers. So it's naturally going to be faster than other platform fighters like Melee, where it has like a freaking 8-minute timer, something crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I just had a question. It just ran away from me. You mentioned something about the time. Oh, sometimes we see commentators who fall into a couple different roles. Maybe one would be more somebody who's commentating might be more analytical. Like one of my favorite commentators, I love TK Breezy, who does a lot of Smash stuff.
Yeah,
He's like, I would guess you would probably call him more of like just a hype commentator, just because like the way he describes the way the game is going just makes it that much more real.
yeah,
And he has like really good insight and stuff, but he's at his peak when he's just making you as excited as he possibly can be. Like,
right,
how would you describe your commentary style?
yeah. When I first started out, I think I was trying to be very much the analytical numbers kind of guy. But I think now I'm trying to. It's kind of more inspired by, like you said, some of the Smash commentators actually. 'Cause I feel like the top commentators, like like TK, Coney, EE, they're very versatile,
Yeah.
and they have their roles that they are. You can tell they're a bit more comfortable in, but I think that you can always tell is that they're always very also comfortable switching between them. I think that's one of the most important things to be able to do as a commentator. So something I'm trying to work on right now. I think in terms of like, I'm of course more comfortable with just slowing the things down and be like, okay, the thing here is that nerdy thing that happened right there. It's da, da, da. But like, one thing I'm definitely trying to get better recently is like doing big moments, like high moments. I think that's just as important. Someone's got to be there. Scream when fucking Safari gets the fourth shine lick and a clutch kill or something like that. Yeah. So I think to answer the question, though, I think probably consider more analytical, but I'm trying to be like the 50-50 guy in terms of that.
Yeah, like you said.
Actually,
Oh, yeah,
if
go
I,
ahead.
I'm sorry to
No, go
interrupt you,
ahead.
but
Go ahead.
yeah, I kind of like think about that our commentaries too. I think that I think in general we have a pretty good commentary lineup in terms of NASB. Commentating with them at Hidden Temple, I definitely think like me and Max kind of fall into that category of like all around type commentators. Pride is an amazing analyst. Like Switch is a really good play-by-play one. So it's like, oh, it's interesting just thinking about that. I want to share that.
Well, that actually kind of leads into my next question was going to be, what was your favorite tournament that you've ever commentated? Would it be Hidden Temple, or was there
Oh,
something else that you? Well,
oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Actually, that was the second in-person event I think I commentated. The other was just like a random local. So this was definitely, of course, a bigger deal to me than that. It was very honestly, in terms of Hidden Temple, it was just pretty awesome. Not only again, commentate that, but also meet the community for the first time. It was really cool. It's like it's weird to say, but it like had like family reunion vibes. Like haven't met like each other like in person at all, just because I don't know. I feel like close to a lot of these people just based on online interactions we had over the past handful of months and stuff like that. And commentating too is just like I think there's a different vibe from commenting offline compared to online. It's because things kind of tend to flow a lot more naturally offline. I feel like so you can just like, well, I'm not only just responding to like switches or like Pride's voice like I am online, but also their body language. So I like kind of look to my side to see if they want to say something, stuff like that. So you can't do that online
Yeah.
essentially. So it's definitely just a lot better too, and just also it's really cool also meeting like people like Yvonne or Don Tony who I didn't know commentator or into the game at all before, but to see that they could bring their own things to the table in commentary, along with the more experienced ones for NASB like myself, like Max, Pride, Switch. I don't know. It made a very cool lineup. There's like a lot of cool moments in commentary. I'm like, oh shit, that shit's like some magic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
From a spectator perspective, it was definitely a fantastic event, and all
Mm,
the guys that you guys had on the couch definitely helped bring the game to life.
yeah.
You said it was like a family reunion vibe, so maybe not as much nerves, but like, were there any nerves maybe for like the bigger moments in commentary, or were you just kind of in your element at that point?
Um, what do you mean?
Like, were you when you started commentating like the early sets? Were there any like, okay, this is like a really big tournament that I'm commentating, I got to be on my game, or were you just pretty much like right away just relaxed and settled in, just because you said it was like such a calm vibe there?
Yeah. I think getting there for the day zero production day kind of made me a lot more comfortable than I would be if I just started on day one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because just at that point, I've already kind of like, got the general vibe. People, okay, this thing's kind of just like, people are still taking it serious, but it's kind of chill at the same time. So, and it also just helped that the people on the couch were always so, easy to talk to, easy to just bounce off of essentially. That made it a lot easier as well. So, I don't know, I was chilling most of it, honestly, man. It's very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So let's talk a little bit about Blackimar the player. So why Helga? Why'd you pic her up?
Oh, it's a couple of things. First off, Hey Arnold is actually my favorite Nickelodeon cartoon. Like ever, that
Okay.
show is awesome. And Helga was one of the big reasons why I feel like it's awesome. Of course, Arnold and Gerald are, of course, the two main characters at the same time. They also made a lot to. They made a point to develop Helga a lot as a character, and I kind of really liked that when I watched it back then. Not only that too, but there's also her move set. Slingshot is such a cool move, dude. That was like one of the main things that kind of just jumped out to me from her gameplay showcase. She has a projectile that like sends him closer to you and can combo off that, bro. That's like so sick still to me, dude. That's one of my favorite aspects of the character too. It's just like, oh no, I can't really see myself being switching off the character at this point because I did originally start off playing Zim because I kind of like I was interested in like playing projectile heavy character in this game. But I don't know. I pocketed Helga at the same time, so eventually I just after like a month of Helga, I just switched to the main character because I just enjoyed her a lot more. And it's also interesting too because there's really not many other Helga players, so kind of like another part of it, I guess, it's sort of just like wanting to represent the character at a high level because I feel like they're underrepresented at that level essentially.
Was she similar to characters that you played in other fighting games?
Uh, Kinda. It's weird to describe Helga because like she's just so interesting or unique from other characters and other platform fighters. Like the closest thing I can try to describe her as is like an all around ish character with like a pretty cool projectile game. And I guess the closest comparison I have to characters I played like that is Rob in Smash Ultimate,
Okay.
but a generally much more fun version of Rob from Smash Ultimate. So I did think he was very interesting.
So
Yeah,
I mentioned, Back in Blood recently, which you placed fourth at,
yeah.
which an incredibly stacked tournament. So getting fourth was, I just remember the chat was like going nuts when you to, you were popping off. I mean, you beat like you beat Waldo, you beat Andruvi, you beat Jut, some really really good players.
Yeah.
So from a player perspective, I guess just kind of take us through your mindset going through that tournament, and were there any nerves from a player's perspective?
Hmm. It's so interesting, yeah, because I originally didn't expect to get that far at all. I thought okay, I came into it just like expecting to just commentate, the top 8 or top 6 whenever it started, whenever the stream started, and I'm like, eventually, I'm like, oh crap, I'm in the top 6, I guess. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I definitely during that week, I definitely felt a lot more confident as a player going into it than I did before. Just to spend so much time, chilling with the other people that went to Back in Blood at Safari Script, playing so many just games, just like they kind of know, like, dude, you're really good. I'm like, I am. Like, I just kind of don't notice sometimes, so I just spend a lot of time just commentating. That's where my main priority lies. Playing, I play like a bunch of casuals or friendlies with a bunch of other high level players. My main priority is commentating. So I don't know, it just felt so funny to get that far, but pretty cool at the same time too. I have a video on BTS Smash's channel,
Oh
or I
wow,
have a
okay.
set on BTS's channel with me versus Andrewy, so that's always cool. Like,
Yeah, it's cool to see, not only just you kind of being able to demonstrate your skills, but like you said, that the Helga that like we don't really get to see all that often being represented on such a
yeah.
big stage. I like to ask this question of a lot of players, and I guess for you that there's two different answers here.
Mm,
How do you prepare for a tournament as a player, and how do you prepare for maybe a tournament that you're going to be commentating?
yeah. I don't know, as a player, I think I guess I have less to prove than the others, so I don't really stress them as much as other people probably do. I kind of seem to go into just I'm just like kind of going to just want to play the game more, And, like it's an environment that people will take the game more seriously, so I enjoy those those sweaty try hardish games. So I naturally enjoy the tournament environment. Um, Playing in that it's really cool to me. So yeah, I kind of just get a couple friendly sets in. I'm ready to go, man. I'm chilling. In terms of commentary, though, I will definitely, if I can, actually, I would look at the bracket, see people going, analyze their sort of play styles, and kind of like I try to take notes on like how people play stuff like that. I think that just really helps me a lot. I think a tournament that notably helped me a lot actually was the Fun Invitational. So it's because there are just so many names that could potentially go far that hadn't really played the game in a while. So just going back and watching, seeing how they played, checking their history and stuff like that. Even for the ones I didn't use, I'm like glad I kind of did that too, because it kind of gave me a bigger picture sort of look at the game and how people play it. Honestly, so that's my main thing I do, and also just playing more and just trying to make sure I know, how the current version of the game works, whatever version it is, and just I'm learning tidbits from the top players too. It's cool. It's cool. But yeah, that's how I prepare.
Yeah, so you would say that definitely being a top level player, it definitely helps you in your commentary.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't really. It's weird. I can't really tell which one helps me in which category because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like to analyze what's happening in real time, like as a commentator, helps me as a player. Other times it's like, was it vice versa? I can't really tell anymore. Either way, they both kind of help by each other. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a symbiotic relationship. You know, when you do more commentary, you're watching more games, you're getting more analysis, and you're also
Yeah,
kind of, in a way, training yourself to kind of quickly read what's going
yeah,
on, which
exactly.
obviously helps you as a player. But then that player knowledge helps you when commentate because you kind of know, you know, basically what's going to be happening before it happens in a lot of ways. So,
Right.
what's your favorite matchup to commentate?
My favorite matchup to commentate? That's a very difficult one, actually. Um, it's hard to say just because I just like most of the characters or watching most characters in this game that aren't named Tough. Uh, so I think, and probably some West Coast bias here, but I think probably PTM versus Leonardo. Um, for a while, I definitely just called like Tafar versus Thunder is like the West Coast Classic, pretty much, right? Because those guys played so much, which is always often so like awesome to see sort of the adjustments that make to each other. Because it could just be the player thing, but I don't know. It's really cool seeing Leonardo kind of space around that grab game that PTM has, or I guess had now. It's kind of less strong in this patch, but it's always so cool to see just how deep the anti grab game as well got, and just how PTM kind of get in there regardless and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see the way that things change in this patch, which for those of you that don't know, just for clarity's sake, we are recording this the day that the patch dropped. This patch
Yeah,
has only been out for like maybe 8 hours or so. I don't know specifically when it dropped, but uh, I did see that you were discussing with some other people in the Grinders Discord, thoughts on the current patch and stuff. So I just wanted to kind of give you this, chance to kind of speak your mind. What do you think about the changes in the patch, specifically the fact that a lot of dares have been pretty hard nerfed, which is
yeah,
probably, I would imagine, might lead to a little bit of some slower games, since we might not
right.
see like Lucy's killing at 0. So I just want to give you this time. Yeah, just like go ahead. What are your thoughts on the current patch?
Um, it's really just the dares. I honestly have a lot of heavy opinions about, but I think everything else is pretty good, especially the clank changes. For the most part, I think it buffs April a lot, which is a character that didn't need to be buffed at all. But that's really the only kind of thing I kind of see wrong with it. I think in general, it's always just cool that aerials are just less likely to just playing against each other. It kind of just like made like the active nairs like shredders, zims, PTM, stuff like that too powerful or more powerful than it should be. So I think that's cool. In general, though, the dares they feel less fun to me, if that makes sense, because I know it's like a contentious opinion. Like, 'cause I know in general the dare changes are very positive among that community, and like by the time you watch this, it could just be changed as well. But 'cause I'm
Yeah,
still absorbing it
yeah,
all.
exactly. The patch is
But
only eight
yeah,
hours old, right? So
right. But currently, I don't know. It feels like it's hard to explain it without sounding like a crazy person. People that don't agree with me. In general, I like the aspect of okay. I really enjoyed the aspect of that sort of checkmate scenario that happens at the edge of the stage against a lot of characters, and I think that having it's still possible to do it now. Get the double triple there, but it's a lot more middle and like it's less of a guaranteed thing, which again most people would say is a good thing, but I don't know. I think that whole checkmate aspect of trying to beat the ledge pressure and Pearson pressuring you, stuff like that. It as both a player and a commentator, it added a lot of attention to the game that I don't think a lot of people gave enough credit for, or gave enough credit in general. Really, it's just because how interesting it was, to see people, for example, parry out of a situation they're in the corner and like throw the other person in the corner and get dares assault. Like, oh shit, that's like a oh shit moment to me. You know what I'm saying? Just like the fact that that could happen less often now is just really sad to me because I really like that aspect of the game so much. It just feels like, yeah, some people will call it healthier now, but I'm always someone who prioritizes fun over quote unquote health for a game. Because of course I played, broken games from Marvel's Capcom 3, like fucking BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Those are insane broken games, and people also, that kind of also goes to another point. People sometimes have the argument of just like that, oh, it looked cooler in those games because they do more moves. I'm just gonna say, as someone who played those games, shut the fuck up. You know what you're talking about, dude. Because after you see Zero lightning loop your shit so many fucking times, Marvel 3, it becomes the same thing, bro. It becomes like same automatic, some bullshit. Just like, it's not exciting anymore. It's not fun to watch that anymore. Well, it's fun to watch for me, just like seeing a bunch of moves, because I've seen those moves like 1,000 times in that same exact sequence. I don't think people understand that. I had to get that off my chest. That's it, though.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting patch to get used to, because I think when you think of the game on a scale from punish versus neutral, right? Like, when you think of a game like Melee, which was very emphasis on punish game, versus a game like Ultimate, where there's a lot of emphasis on neutral because it's slower. I feel like NASB was a really, really heavy punish game, where it's like you make one mistake, you're gonna die, right? Do you think that this maybe shifts a little bit of the focus towards a little bit more neutral play?
That's another thing people probably don't agree with me before, is I feel like the balance between neutral and punish before was fine overall. I know there's a situation where you can die, but that just led to a lot more smart neutral being played. Because to be at that top level before, you had to be good at avoiding those situations you get put in, essentially, while also be able to play around that and sort of be able to put people in that chicken bait scenario regardless. But I mean, objectively, yeah, it's probably gonna be more neutral being played or whatever. I guess, you know what I'm saying. I think, yeah, being able to get out double dare is a bit easier to kind of naturally just leads to that. Stocks would definitely just most likely just naturally take longer than they did before. So naturally, as a result, more neutral.
Do you think that that's going to change up your commentary style a little bit? Maybe you'll have some more time for analysis, or do you think you're pretty much just going to stick with what's been working?
I think it probably will slightly, not too much though. It's more just how I talk about ledge or like corner scenarios in the game. Probably going to change. That's the most the thing that most probably going to change probably.
So, we'll hit these last two questions, and then I'll open the floor to you if you have anything you want to talk about before we run a quick best of 5 if you're down. What kind of things would you like to see for the game specifically going forward, in terms of like maybe some characters, mechanics, changes? Is there anything like that comes to mind when, like, if you could change the game in some ways, what would you do?
Give me my old dares back.
Double dare, double jeopardy.
Look, man, that was just such a big part of the game's identity for me, and then just seeing it sort of just gone, just like, well, not gone essentially, but sort of just like heavily just like changed like that. It's a little sad to me, honestly.
It's definitely gonna feel like a different game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that yet, but hopefully get more adjusted to it. In terms of just general other gameplay changes, I think it's mostly the gameplay just mostly in a good state. Other than that, for me, probably change the tech, how a tech lockout situation work a little bit, just because like there's situations where if you air dash or like holding shield, counts as like locking you out from tech.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of like the only thing that can really be like, okay, I should probably change. But other than that, I think it's in a really good spot right now. You asked characters too, right?
yeah.
Um, I like to see LT Gray. That'd be a really cool addition.
Okay, I can see
Um,
that. Is he like your dream
most
character, like number one wish list?
I don't know. I already got a bunch of the characters I like from Nickelodeon in there, like Patrick and like Elga or Zim. I can't really think of many other ones. Jamie Neutron, I guess, is the only one that's kind of like really lacking that I really love to see. And just for shits and giggles, give me the fucking the bronze kneecap.
I love the bronze kneecap.
And don't make me use
Yeah,
it.
the best villain from that whole show. Oh my
Sorry,
god,
there.
he needs to have like a Captain Falcon knee. Like that has to be his thing.
Definitely. That would be hilarious, bro.
Um, so we just came off, our biggest major in Hidden Temple, and we had a really, really big tournament. Good showing at Back for Blood. Um, I know that you put in a lot of work for the community. Specifically, you also do a lot of content creation and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So, what kind of things would you maybe want to see for the community? Do you have any specific ideas for how to grow? Maybe what sorts of
Mhm.
tournaments you would like to see? Just, yeah, some
Yeah.
community stuff.
Yeah, I think in terms, some people are kind of concerned about growth for this game. I know, but I think you can already see that their numbers in general on Steam, for example, are rising already. I think in general, it'd be in a good spot if a few things happen. I think one of the things, big things, is just going to be showing up and showing out at these offline events that are happening. We see the Genesis is coming up like next month. Yeah, Combo Breaker after that. There's probably going to be some more opportunities too that I'm probably either forgetting or haven't been announced yet. But I think being able to just show up to those is very important. It's because you want to convince people, you want to convince the TLs especially, the tournament organizers, that this game is worth having at events. Because I mean, people can say that people didn't really pay attention to the online scene, but objectively, just like people care about offline more than online, dude.
Yeah.
Or fighting games especially. It's a different world, man. It's the game is so, it's of course still the same game, I guess, but it just feels different, very notably different. But in general, that's one of the more important things. Also, I feel like, hey, to y'all, top players, high level players, Nick fans, make more content, bro. It's very much it's look, man. I don't want to keep having to find these NASB is dead videos to the top of the recommended every time I search for that shit on YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
We gotta get some more stuff for the community out there. I'm working on getting more stuff as well. I know what people like Safar I talked to is working a lot more on content, Carcat as well, but what the rest of y'all doing, bro? Get on the YouTube grind, get on the Twitch grind. You know what I'm saying? Just make stuff. Shout out ASAP too. I think he's also has some stuff in the work as well. But yeah, that's those are two of the biggest things. Um, it just in general, the two important things there are just impression of the community, because people, I think it's kind of natural. People think we're kind of like quote unquote dead right now because we're just so secluded on like Discord and random Twitch VODs that just like it's hard for people to find us. Even TLs, bro. Put your VODs on YouTube,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
It's like, 'cause I know shout out Pride and Conduit and Creestat started doing that recently, but we need to get more there, bro. Like, of course, people are not gonna know we existed for the past 5 months when most of our VODs aren't on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, even just trying to find competitive match footage on YouTube is just a struggle outside of like the first few months. But yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think we are seeing a lot of people start to get into that content grind and just getting our voices and our images out there can help because like you said, if people are searching for NASB and the only videos they're seeing is like this game's jank, it's broken, it sucks, it's dead, it's gonna
right.
leave a bad impression. So yeah, I definitely agree with that point. So before we hop into that best of five, is there any last minute things you want to talk about? Anybody you want to give some shout outs to? Just anything if you want to plug. If you have any social links or whatever, you want to DM them to me after we're done recording. I'll definitely throw those in the description below. Um, you know
Yeah.
anything for sure. So yeah, open floor.
Mm. I don't know. General just shouts to the community, man. I think the community, we're not that big right now, but when I see the amount of passion that the people's community have, it makes me very hopeful for the future of it. I mean, we saw it in Temple, the voting reached like $20,000, something like that, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
For such a small game, dude, that's incredibly impressive. I think y'all should just pat yourself on the back for that one, really, for sure. And just in general, too, shout out to people, behind the scenes making things happen. Shout out Max Ketchum, Kreestab, Pride. Um, Those people are just doing really good work in the community. Shout out Sanji, of course.
Yeah.
Putting in so much work in the mods, making the game better. His name is in the code. That's crazy.
Literally, like, probably saved the game with his netcode
Yeah.
mod, honestly.
Yeah, just the power of this community, man. Just that's the one takeaway. Just don't underestimate the power of this community. It'll be all right.
So before we jump in, where can the people follow you or find you on the socials if they want to follow Blackimar64?
You want to follow Black? Why do you want to do that? If you do want to do that, though, my Twitter is at Blackimar64. I'm on Twitch as well, NK Blackimar. I don't stream too much, but I probably should. I'm on YouTube more though. My YouTube is Blackimar64. And if you want to look at my music as well, I'd have my music up on YouTube, Nerd Night Music. You can check that out. And yeah, that's it.
Sweet. So all those links, guys, those will be in the description. Go check them out. So do you want to run a quick best of 5 real quick?
I guess I'll play the video game that I kind of like. That'll probably help overall. Yeah. Any stage you want to go to, or
You just pick whatever. We'll run it. I'm ready for the Helga. I'm excited. I'm excited to catch the Helga hands. I haven't fought a good Helga in forever. So yeah, tell me about the music, man. Is that like your biggest passion outside of gaming?
pretty much. I rap as well as sing, make beats sometimes too. But I'm doing that since like high school, so I've got a decent amount of traction on it, so it's pretty cool. Definitely check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. I have like no artistic bones in my body. Like I can't draw, I can't like sing, I can't write. So like people who can do that stuff is like it's always amazing to me.
Right, I feel you. It's so respectable.
So what kind of music do you listen to normally? Is it the same kind of music that you make?
Mostly, but I do try to diversify my ears a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I do kind of tend to listen to a bunch, but mostly ends up just being rap as well as R&B stuff like that.
All right, so who's your favorite rap artist?
That's a loaded question, sir. There's a good handful. Outkast is up there, Andre 3000 and Big Boy. Kendrick, Richie Branson is a really cool one. He asked about the same kind of shit I do, which is like things referencing anime, gaming, and shit.
Oh, is that where like the nerd part of Nerd Night comes from?
Pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a subgenre of hip hop called nerdcore hip music. I would explain it, but I am focusing on giving brownies the hands.
It's definitely something like as I've done this series, I've definitely noticed that like I'm getting better at playing while talking, but it's really awkward sometimes where you're like trying to focus and you're also trying to answer questions.
It can be a little difficult. It's like, it's your strategy to win, bro. Just distract me.
I would say yes, but I haven't taken a game off of anyone in this series yet, so
It's a bit much of your day, dude.
I don't think it's gonna work.
Nah, I'm a commentator, bro. I don't even play the game.
You got top 4 at Back in Blood, man.
Don't even play.
So how did you get started in music? Did you just get the equipment one day, or did you just start with like whatever you had around the house and just found a passion for it?
It's interesting. I used to write poetry back like in middle school and high school. I kind of just transitioned to rapping and then getting deeper into music. Yeah. I remember part of it was actually, it's a messy kind of story, but part of the reason I started rapping is that me and my homie that I started the rap crew, shout out NK Sensei, we kind of noticed as a little group at our school, high school, that was kind of getting traction in rap. We're just like, man, we better than these motherfuckers, bro. We just started rapping low-key off that.
Hey, man, you know what? Sometimes you just need that, like, you're like, you see these people and you're like, what? I'm better than them. Why are they getting all this traction? Like,
right. No, one of those guys is actually getting a lot of decent action online stuff. So I forgot his rap name right now, but yeah, shout out that dude.
So is Nerd Night just you, or is it you and some others?
I didn't answer that, did I? It is me and my homie NK Sensei as well. My rap name's NK Blackimar. We also have a DJ. We do live shows at cons and shit sometimes. Which are my boy, the Shy Guy. Yeah.
Man, I have to say, from like doing these interviews, we have some like incredibly talented people in this community.
That's really true, man.
Like, just some of the things that, if you would have told me that this funny SpongeBob game would have, I think Sanji works for Google or some other big tech company. If you if you would have told me like, hey, we have a Google employee who just writes code for fun basically, and completely rewrote the way that the code in the game works and made it better than the devs did.
Right. That's crazy.
I would have been like, what do you... No. There's no way.
Yeah. I love that aspect of it, man. There's so many unique places where people in this community come from. It's dope. It's like people kind of like early in the game kind of like assume this community to be like Smash Community 2.0, and just like, I'm glad they developed its own unique scene outside of that.
And the thing is, like, people in this community are so cool. Like, everyone's super chill for the most part. Even when we like disagree with each other, we don't have people like flaming each other that hard. Like, there's not like a lot of beef or anything going around. Like, people are just really nice in this community.
There's thankfully a lot of cool people in there, dude.
And that's the thing that I tell, you know, newer people that like maybe are a little bit nervous to come in. Like, don't be afraid to come in and ask questions and talk to people. Like, I know in some other communities, like the top players, like try to. Oh, that was a weird angle. Oh,
it happens a lot.
Like, don't be afraid to come in and like ask questions, because even somebody who's like, you know, considered top player like BoDD, he's not gonna like yell at you for asking questions, you know?
Right.
Like, everyone is just so helpful. I'm gonna get 4-stocked here if I don't pay attention.
Yeah, in terms of just top players and stuff like that, we're just like, we're regular people, bro. Don't be afraid, you know, ask us something. We're chill with it.
We have some really funny characters in this community too. Like, I saw you and Captain Planet were talking earlier. He's an interesting individual.
Definitely. Shout out Cap, man.
So, obviously the patch is still pretty young. What do you think that Helga's going to settle in this patch? Because I know you've been on the Helga's been underrated train for a long time. So, how do you think she's going to fare in this new patch?
I think she's going to be better. I feel like her dare chains are one of the handful that aren't really too affected by the changes. From what I tried anyway. Plus, she just has a lot of ways to just get kills outside of that, with slingshot confirms especially, so.
Oh my god, I forgot how to tech. What am I doing?
I didn't press the R button. Yeah, and I definitely can see Helga being... I already considered her a top 10 character last patch. Maybe even higher this one.
Does she have any like really rough matchups against any of the other high tiers? Besides like April, because everyone's matchup against April sucks.
You know, I don't even think April Helga is that bad, honestly. I was even playing with BoDD a lot at Oregon. It's like not winning for us, but it's like it's not as hard as I originally thought it was. I think having a counter against those long, active, like aerial strongs definitely helps a lot in that regard.
Oh yeah, especially because, you know, strong dare being plus on shield is a thing.
Right. And was there another part of that question? I low-key lost track of what I was saying.
No, it was pretty much just like, you know, how do you think she's gonna fare in the current meta? I'm actually interested to see.
Oh yeah, you said matchups.
Oh yeah. What's is she having like rough matchups against like the top tiers?
Shredder was the only one I really felt like was really rough, but I know Shredder got noticeably worse this patch, so hopefully that's easier.
Yeah, his side or his neutral B not being able to just pass through you is like huge, I think.
Yeah. Also being able to challenge his Nair to do the clank changes. That's actually really cool.
God, that
Not
Nair.
for Shredder, but
his Nair is just it's a character. Like, you could just literally just Nair.
Right.
That's all. A Nair and up air. If that's all you wanted to do. Oh damn.
Yeah.
Oh, Shredder.
Hopefully he's easy to get around this patch for sure.
Well, with UPG at the helm, I'm sure he'll find a way to make him work. That guy, like I said, literally like an evil genius.
Yeah, that is that's a super naring robot right there, bro.
UPG even kind of talks like an evil genius sometimes.
Definitely. He's definitely one of my favorite characters in the Smash, not Smash, but NASB community.
Oh
bro.
yeah,
He's great.
I love UPG. He's so funny. Oh,
Shout out
oh,
I was gonna say shout out to Nick homies in the West Coast Illuminati, by the way. Shout out to Far, Calvin, Sanji, and Druvy. Sometimes Bo Didi when he's on the West Coast.
oh yeah, the Midwest NASB goes hard.
It does.
I think both Bodidi and Lily Bunner from like the Midwest. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is. Hey, don't sleep on the West Coast though, man. We got some heaters out here, bro. Sorry, West Toast. Shout out to Far.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, I thought I was gonna get hit that counter. I threw out the move and I saw the counter was.
I feel it.
All right, man. Well, I had a blast. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, all of Blackimar's links are going to be in the description. Check him out. Go check out his music. He makes some absolutely banging tunes. And yeah, just look out for him on the mic and running up the brackets in Helga. I'm really excited to see whenever you're able to enter the next one. See another deep Helga run. And stop sleeping on Helga. I slept on Helga last patch too, so I'm part of it. Stop sleeping on Helga.
Talk to him. Talk to him, bro. He's spitting.
Well, thank you, Blackimar. I had a really good time, man.
Thank you for having me, bro. It's been great. It's definitely been great.
So, check out Blackimar's stuff. Also, like I said, if you have any clips, send them to me before March 21st. Keep an eye out on this channel for that compilation. And yeah, I will see you guys all again next time.